Hey, TikTok or Facebook and YouTube. Hey, welcome you guys. Listen, we're excited. Today is Wednesday, and so I'm super excited because we actually get to dive into the book today. And so I first of all want to make sure you guys subscribe and like and make sure you share today's video so that everyone could be blessed by what we have today for you guys. So before we get started, again, I want to thank you guys for joining on today's broadcast, and we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Damein here. He is the author and a writer, and I'm going to allow him to go ahead and get into why he wrote this book, what inspired him to write the book. And so, Damien, tell me a little bit why you decided to write this particular book.
Well, I wrote the game advice Dawn of the Prodigy because I do a lot of self-help reading. And at the time, I was reading a lot of books, and I felt that some of the books, as far as in dealing with self-help, would talk about certain situations, but they didn't exactly go into detail of how to deal with those situations. So, like when I tell anybody, when I wrote this book, I was on one. I was on one, meaning I was, I was going through some things at the time, and the book was totally written. I wouldn't say off of emotion, but some of the, like I said, some of the things that I was going through, and some of the things that I wanted to fix as far as me, and being around certain people, and so that's why I wrote it. Uh, when I first wrote it, I wrote this entire book on notebook paper, the
Wow.
entire book
Wow.
on notebook paper. And I took 4 chapters out of the book, which that's why it's so short, because it's an introductory book that leads into the second part of this one. But I took the 4 chapters out because I felt they were irrelevant to the point I was trying to get across with this first book. So I just took them out and I added them to the book that I'm currently working on right now. So I felt that this was an expression. This entire book was an expression of me and a lot of the things that I've gone through, and a lot of things that I'm still working on right now is trying to improve myself, and that's why it's the self improvement. It's the guide for self improvement. So I believe that everything that I touch base on in this book is something, like I said, the book is written for men, but can also be read by women. And I felt that these were the keys to what a man needs to focus on in order to either become successful or to work on becoming a success in quote unquote life.
So, I think the best books, Damien, from my own opinion, are the books that people write out of their own life story,
Right,
right?
right, right,
Real life experiences.
right.
And so I was really drawn to this book. And in your book, you got into, I think you have a chapter that starts in there. It says, Part One, Development Character,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so, what do you think in general? How does a person develop character in life?
One of the most important things of developing character is the people, because you're not born with, let's say, character flaws. I think the first thing to developing character is the people that you surround yourself around,
Right, right, right.
because they shape and mold your character. Now, that's not to say that you can't think the way you want to, but like they say, birds of a feather flock together.
Right, right.
So if you're around people that are negative and that are always downplaying things, and you're with these people all the time, then more than likely you're going to establish their mindset and their ways of thinking. So And I tell people, you have to be careful with the people that you're around because, believe it or not, they can shape and mold you. Now, whether that's family,
Right, right.
friends, business associates, whatever, the people that you surround yourself with says a lot about you. And people from the outside looking in, and they see you with a certain group of people, they're automatically going to assume that, if they think these are bad people and quote unquote, they're automatically going to assume that you're the same way. So, but I think that when we're born, we I think we're born with good character, but slowly but surely as we age, our character, starts to develop. It starts to develop, and that's where a lot of character flaws come into place with the people that you're around. Um, and that's something that as a man, that is a very valuable focus point on your life.
So, let me ask you, what do you, if we're born, let me ask you this, if we're born into a place where, maybe we didn't have the father or mother in our life, right? And I would say for the most part, it is what really develops our character with a father and mother.
Right.
But if you don't have that, how do you think that we overcome maybe the flaws that we had because we didn't have a mother or father? How do we overcome those flaws in absence of a mother and father?
Well, first, I think that with people, I think we have to understand our character in the beginning. If we don't have the mother or father, we need to understand that whether it's a good character or bad character. I think in thus understanding how our character is, I think that's the most important part because a lot of people, they have a lot of character flaws and they don't have a good, developed character,
Right, right,
and they think that it's normal, but it's not. So, I tell people, you have to listen. Positive influences, mentorships, studying people that are places where you want to go.
right, right, right,
That's very important. Now, you are unfortunately at a disadvantage without your mother or father. So there are those that even have their mothers and fathers in their lives that tend to develop bad character,
right, right,
just depending on how their mothers and fathers raised them. So that's a very key component because, you know when you're with your parents, whether you're economically deprived, all of that can play in the part of the development of your character because we're taught about finances, we're taught about making money, having a substantial amount of money, and some people, they'll go the wrong way of trying to get that money. And so,
right,
and there
right,
are those that have the mother and the fathers, and their upbringing is just fabulous, but they still end up, doing some things they shouldn't be doing. So I think the mentorship, I think the positive influences in our lives, that's very key. That's very important. And you have to identify that you don't have that,
right, right,
and you have to go out and find it. I mean, there's no if, ands, buts, but you have to go out and find it. You have to study people that you see that they're people of their word, integrity, and they have very good character. So if you don't have that, like I said, you have to go and find it. And that could be through anyone, whether it's a school teacher, whether it's a principal, whether it's a big brother, big sister, uncles, aunts, somebody that you look up to.
right,
You have to study their habits and take the positives out of their habits and their character and apply that within yourself. You have to do that because unfortunately, in today's society, we don't have a lot of positive role models or mentors
right, right,
in
right.
our lives, so we have to go out and search for them and find them. uh, like I said, man, it's a 50-50 split. I mean, there are those that just aren't as fortunate enough to have those family figures in their lives, that they can't find those positive influences, and so they end up going right down the wrong road.
Right.
So, but like I said, you have to develop. You have to search from within to see. Look, I'm not going the right. This is not the right way that I should be going. I need to figure out how, and how, however way I'm supposed to go. I need to figure this out, because 5-10 years down the road, you can find yourself locked up, find yourself killed, murdered, and if you're one of those people that grew up in the hood, man, it's those people that come out of those economically deprived situations, that don't have anybody to lean on to teach them the right way to live with life. Man, it's tough, man. So you have to go out and find it. You have to identify it and go and find it. So that's my word of advice to people. um, I do a lot of research, and I study a lot of people that have a really positive influence in my life. So it was difficult for me as well, and I'm still dealing with some character things that I'm
Right.
trying to change about myself.
Right.
It's an ongoing learning experience. So, but the most important thing, I think people are in denial about who they are. You have to identify it. You have to. And it's not about an ego. You have to identify, say, hey, I don't like this about myself. I need to correct this about myself, because every person has something that they need to work on that can develop and enhance their character. Everyone has that. So it's just whether or not you want to do it, and whether or not you identify it. So you have to leave the ego out of it, because nobody's perfect. So, and unfortunately, like I said, there are those that don't grow up around positive influences in their life, and there are those that do.
Right.
And so they're the ones that do are at an advantage, more of an advantage than those that aren't. So, it's unfortunate. I mean, that's just the way that the ball, is bouncing in the court. So like I said, you have to figure it out, identify it, and go search. That's very important.
Yeah. I think for myself, I can tell you for myself, Damien. I a lot of who I am today is because of the mentors I had in my life. Right. So I think getting involved and being a mentor in someone's life can be a very powerful changing thing for individuals themselves
Right,
to be a part of something and knowing that you're going to make a difference in that person's life.
right, right. And you, you so, a lot of times you have to find those mentors that actually want to take you up under their wing as
Right.
well. So and I think that's a lot. I think that's going on a lot as far as manhood nowadays. We don't have a lot of male positive mentors
I agree.
that would take us up under their wing. So for those that don't have that, like I said, you're gonna have to find it, search it, and develop it. And you're gonna have to be a mentor to someone else. So you know um, they're very rare, and like I said, that's in the masculine frame part of my book, in the beginning of the book. That's in the masculine frame. I think that's a part of a man's frame, is to develop character. um and you have to, and truth be told, with men, we don't really come into our prime until our 40s, and that has a lot to do with wisdom and the mistakes that we've made. And even in biblical days,
Right. Right.
40 is a big number, and
Yeah.
there's a reason for that,
Right.
because that comes with experience and mistakes. So by the time we hit our 40s, we should be at that age to where we're beginning to, you know, we've learned, we've made mistakes, and now it's time to correct those mistakes, and try to live the best, uh, life that we can live. So and like I said, that's not, I mean, some guys get it earlier, but it's really not normal until we hit our 40s.
Let me ask you this, for just from your perspective, Damon. Uh, how much of character flaw do you think is contributed to the divorce rate?
A lot, a lot, because a lot of men aren't taught how to be men.
Right,
A lot of women aren't taught how to be women. That comes from upbringing,
right,
unfortunately. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago about how Big Mama isn't around no more.
right,
So as far as when Big Mama's not around, Big Mama can't pass on her skills and experiences to her daughter, and her daughter can't pass on the skills and experiences to her daughter. So there's going to come some character flaws into that. A lot of women aren't taught how to be women. A lot of men aren't taught how to be men. So I mean and what happens is when you decide to uh, marry someone or you're dating someone, if you don't have that upbringing, that pass along, that's going to affect your dating, and that's going to affect your marriage. There's no if, ands, buts, or about it. You have to be taught those things as far as your character, and,
right.
and you have to apply it. Not only have you have to be taught, you have to apply it. And nowadays we don't have that. We don't have it. So my thing is now, I've made a lot of corrections to me,
Right.
and it's my job to help pass that along through some of my experiences and some of the things that I was taught. So we need more mentors. Like I said, female mentors, male mentors. We need that nowadays because we're living in the modern world, and there's a correct way that we should live, and there's a not correct way that we should live. So, and all that comes into part of the development of a person's character. So, it's tough, man. And I tell people all the time. I say, listen, listen, listen. And this is with dating. Look, if you identify a lot of character flaws in a person, cut it loose. It's not going to work, especially if you're a person of integrity, of or good character. They're not. Either they learned that from somewhere, or
Right,
or
right.
or they didn't. So you don't want to be a part of that. So that's why I believe a lot of marriages, that's one of the reasons why a lot of marriages have failed, because either one or both people have have not developed the positive character that they need to live in life.
Yeah, I think you got to have good character, Damien, in the aspect that marriage alone is work, right?
Right.
I mean, it's you have good days, you have bad days, you have challenging days, and I think you got to have that character aspect into you if you're going to have that marriage have any hope,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And then just because two people come together don't mean that they both have good character.
Right. And I like to use this analogy. You know, one person's an alcoholic, other person, I mean, the same person abuses drugs, and the other person doesn't. It's not going to work.
Right.
That person that drinks alcohol and abuses drugs, they got some really bad, serious character flaws. It's not going to work. So you have to check that. You have to recognize that and check that and understand, hey, this ain't the person. This ain't the person for me. I don't know where they got these vices, these habits, but that's not the person for me. So it's not gonna work. So and in most cases, like with your family and things like that, they can identify that in people. Sometimes we're we try to look past red flags, because we really like the person, but then you're gonna have other people that see things that you don't see in that person, and they're gonna be able to identify that person's character flaws. So you're gonna have to go back and think about that, and you're gonna be like, you know what, they're absolutely right. I'm not that way. I can't be with a person like that, and this person is too old to try to change them. They're set in their ways,
Right. Right.
so it's not going to work. It's not. So you know, and that's just one of the aspects when it comes to marriage. That's just one. But yeah, both people. they have to be on the same level as far as their character, or else it's not going to work. It's not.
Yeah, there's a verse in the Bible that says a house divided will eventually fall,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so to me, it says, listen, if you have two people with horrible character issues, right? They're not even on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when we're dating people, we need to watch what is their character about. How do they treat their brothers, their sisters, their mom, their dad? Right? Is it
Mm-hmm.
with respect? You know,
Right.
and and that would tell a lot about a person's character on how they treat their own family members.
Right. Right. Or even how, like we talked about this before, or whenever you go to a restaurant, how they treat the waiter. That tells a lot about who they are. So, and eventually, if the person doesn't, because when we're meeting people for the first time, the saying is you're not really meeting them, you're meeting the representative. So eventually, over time, you'll begin to see how a person really conducts themselves.
That's a good point. There's a uh, John Ramirez. He wrote a book, and he said we always date the representative,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
I mean, they don't. You don't go on a date and they don't say, "Hey, by the way, I take 15 prescriptions," right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I hope
Right.
I don't scare you,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
Or hey, listen, I have a problem with gambling,
Right.
right? I hope that doesn't break off, right?
Right. Right. Right.
But we date that represented. And personally for me, Damien,
Hmm.
I think you need to have that discussion. Like if you meet the brothers and sisters, let me ask you this: do you think it's a good idea to ask them? Like, tell me about your
That's
brother.
that's
I mean,
funny.
let me ask you. What do you think about that?
That's funny. That's funny that you said that. I remember us having. I think you and I had this discussion, but I had this discussion with my aunt years and years and years ago, and you know, I was dating this girl, and make the long story short, turned out she had like multiple personalities, and I'm kind of like, why didn't the family tell me that?
Right.
Well, I had to find out. And I asked my aunt. I said, why didn't they tell me? She said, oh, they're not going to tell you that. The family's not going to tell you that. That's something you're gonna have to be able to figure out. So I don't think that a brother or sister is gonna really, I would say, cop block and really, tell you everything about their brother or sister, whatever the case. But they're just not gonna do that unless they're just vindictive and evil. But yeah, I've had situations like that. I'm thinking, I know the family pretty well now. Why wouldn't they tell me that?
Right.
They're just not. They're not. They're not. So in most cases, they're not going to do that. So.
And let me ask you this: how much? I watched the show Married at First Sight, right?
Mhm.
And for you guys out there, I know you guys probably watched the show Married at First Sight. But it's interesting because on that show, Damien, you know, they they take you through not just the couple but the family, right?
Mhm.
So they get an opportunity to sit down with the brothers and sisters. They eat dinner, right? And they ask them questions uh, about them, right? What should I know,
Right.
right? What should I know about
Right.
John,
Right.
right?
Right.
Is
Right. Right.
John just absolutely crazy or
Right.
is he okay,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Right.
And so I'm a now this is just me, Dan. I think that you should ask somebody on that other side and say, listen, like, is there going to be a dead animal in my sock drawer? I mean, is this something I need to worry about?
Right.
Because
Right.
I think, if people mean well, I think if they really care about the aspect of that person
Right.
who's getting married
Right.
on both sides,
Right.
I would think that they would at least say, listen, let me give you a little warning,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like she spends money as fast as she gets it,
Right. Right.
right? You
Right.
would want to know that,
Right. Right. Right.
right? I
Right.
mean, I would. I mean, I would want to know that because at the end of the day, I'm like, I think it's an important thing to ask. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with asking, and you know, I would say that they would tell you if they say that brother or sister liked you, and they were just trying to cock block them. They tell you then, but man, I don't. You know, I really families families are kind of suspect, man. I really don't think unless they're just the kind of family that are just bold and just will come out and just they don't care. I mean, they'll tell you everything. I really don't think. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I really don't think a family is just gonna come out and just say, "Hell, no." She likes to gamble. She likes to smoke. She drinks 4 or 5 bottles of liquor a week. You know, she likes to go and shoplift. I really don't think a family is gonna really do that. I don't because I've only had like a couple of situations like that, and the family you know something's wrong. Like if you're having a discussion and everybody gets quiet, but they
Right,
don't. It's kind of like it gets quiet. It's uncomfortable silence. They want to tell you, but then they're not gonna say anything. They want to tell you,
right.
but I mean you know something's up then. But I mean I just really don't think a family member unless they're just low down, dirty. I call them chicken shit. I really don't think they're gonna do that. The situations that I've been in, they didn't do that.
Right.
But I had to find out later by myself. But I just
So it's possible then, Damien, that family members would cover up
yeah,
their character flaw,
right,
right?
right. Because truth be told, that person's like this because of them. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right,
So
right,
I don't
right,
think they're really gonna want to spill the beans because if you're any kind of person of intelligence, you say, "Oh, well, they learned this from mama. They learned this from daddy. They learned this from brother. They learned this from sister." So think about it. They're really if they know that they've had any kind of influence on that person's life, I don't think they're really gonna come out and spill the beans on them. I think that's something you're gonna have to find out for yourself, unless you're in situations to where you ask certain questions and everybody just gets silent and it's just like I said, it's an uncomfortable silence to where something's up you
Yeah,
know
I mean, you guys let us know what you think. I mean, hey, make sure you guys inbox me. Let us know what you think about that. What is your guys' thoughts about your family members or you asking a family member, hey, tell me a little bit about so and so. I'd like to have you guys' feedback on that.
yeah, because I want to know. Yeah, we have to have y'all's feedback because I think most of the time, my personal opinion, I don't think family, they know if their daughter or brother, I mean their daughter or their son has some kind of mental illness and they're just batshit crazy. I don't think they're gonna come out and tell you that. So I really want to know if anybody's been in situations like that or what they think.
Yeah, so I appreciate all you guys coming on. Listen, I, so I I I think that it's a very important thing to know though, Damien. I think that a person's character is you don't want to be in any long term thing with somebody, and and especially I always look at everything's a cycle. If mom was a drinker, more likely that individual is a drinker,
Right,
right?
right, right,
I mean,
right,
if they did drugs, more likely the mom, dad did drugs,
right.
right? So, but I think sometimes, like you say, Damon, I think that's why I believe you got to take time. Like, there's some people that jump in a relationship after 3 weeks and we're hooked up,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think that you should be hooking up with anybody until you really spend some time to watch their character. Because some people are real good in hiding.
Yeah, and like I said, that's going to take at least 6 months to a year,
Yeah.
and even then, you might not get a chance to really know a person.
So it's a very interesting aspect. So let me ask you this, Damien. I'm gonna just give you something you wrote out of the book, out
Hmm.
of your quote, and you said a person of good character associates himself with God and thinks right towards people and circumstances. If our thoughts are evil and unjust, we tend to follow the path of destruction.
Right, right, because you have what's called a good inclination and a bad inclination. So if if your thoughts, if the majority of the time you just have evil thoughts, in your head, whether it's from people, whether that's just the way you think, whatever, then I mean, the things you do are just going to be unjust. And that's why I tell people, I say, look, one of the hardest things in the world is to think positive when things are going wrong. So if a person is going through something that's severe and their circumstances are just looking terrible, and you're around them, and they can always take the good out of the situations that they're going through,
Right, right,
they've got good character. That's just not embedded in them.
right.
They're really a positive. Uh, they're positive thinkers. And you just have those people that just sit around, drink sodas, eat pizza, and they're thinking of the next hustle that they're going to get into, the next lick that they get ready to hit. So and I think that, listen, and like I said, I don't like to thump the Bible, but there's many stories in the Bible where it talks about people with good character, uh, and people with bad character. So when you study those stories, that should kind of help you develop and see, just by reading and learning from example of how people overcame, whether it's their evil thoughts. So because we all have it, we don't think positive good things are happening 24/7. We just don't do that. But I think that whenever you let the negative and evil thoughts cloud your judgment most of the time, that's a problem. That's a problem. And you have some inclination problems. So that's something that you want to work out, because I don't think I think that God has given us, he's given us the positive, the good inclination. I think he's given us that. Now, whether or not we want to, um, you know, uh, roll with the punches on that, I mean, that goes, that you don't know. But I don't think that, like I said, with a person's environment and their surroundings, that has a lot to do with it. But you will know the true meaning of a person's character whenever they're going through a hard time and they try, or they stay positive through bad circumstances. That's a very good indicator. If that person just doesn't blow up, start screaming, yelling, and that's a very good indicator of a person that has good character. So like I said, I've seen it. And like I said, you have to come to the point in your life to where you understand that not everything is going to be good all the time. Now, how you handle that, that's going to determine what kind of person you are and what kind of character you have. How you handle situations. If you're in a drive-through and you're ordering food, and you get your food back and they get your order wrong. You know,
Oh, I would be in trouble.
say, yeah, stuff
Man,
like
I would be in
that.
trouble. Mama Bear, yeah, says, "Hey, hey, calm down." I mean, listen, I have to be admit. Listen, Damien, I feel like they always get my order wrong,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Where's your manager?" Right?
Right.
Where's your manager? Right?
Right. Right. Right.
Every time I come through, you get the French fries wrong, right?
Right. Right.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, we're human. I
Right,
mean, right?
right.
And
But if, but if a person's doing that consistently every time you go out,
but
I mean, you know,
yeah, I mean, Mama Bear would probably tell you, listen, I'm always asking for the manager,
right?
right?
No, I've got an aunt that does that, man. She man, if something, I mean, it could be anything. She's gonna ask for the manager, and the thing about it, here's the thing: if she asks for like a manager, man, she is just so polite, mild mannered. She has the same expression, or you don't see any kind of bad. I mean, but she has a way of checking situations without you knowing that she's angry. So that says a lot about. I mean, you can get upset with things, but the way that you come about doing it, if you just start, just blowing a gasket and just acting a fool, man, you can't do that. You can't
Yeah.
do that all the time. But if that happens consistently with a person that you're around, yeah, they got some anger issues. They got some problems.
Well, I gotta check my anger issue at the drive-through then, Damien, because I mean, I'm not real good. I can take a lesson from you say your aunt.
Hmm.
I could take a lesson from your aunt how to politely talk to managers through the drive-through,
Right. I,
right?
I I got to the point to where if something doesn't go my way, or if it's with food or anything, I'll just sit there and I'll just look at them and stare. I'll just stare, but I won't show an expression on my face. But I'm upset, but I can't let that overtake me because people make mistakes.
Right.
So, if I'm having a bad day, I have to control that. But that all has to do with your character, man. And it can be controlled. You just have to understand what those flaws are, and you have to want to control them. You
Well,
know.
I'll think about you, Damien, next time I get ready to blow up at the manager at through the drive-through,
Right, right,
right?
right, right.
So Stephanie had said a powerful point. We were talking from the book. I was just reading from Romans and 12 of the importance of renewing our minds. And I think a lot of times, it's a very important, like we were talking, is recognizing that, listen, I'm not doing that so good, right?
Hmm.
Lord, help me renew my mind next time I come through the drive-through, or help me renew my mind. Maybe it's work, with the mother-in-law or
Right,
father-in-law, right?
right, right,
You guys may not get along, and you want to give your piece, but sometimes I think it's better to be quiet, Damien.
yeah, then yeah,
Right?
yeah, and that's what I do.
Right?
If I'm upset, I'll just, instead of me just blowing the gas, I'll just be quiet and just look. You know,
Yeah.
because if I say something, I know it's gonna say something. I know I'm gonna say something to offend someone, and I don't. You don't want to do that, man. I mean, life's too short for that, and you
Right.
don't know what a person's going through that day, how
That's
bad
right.
their day was,
Yes,
and
that's right.
for you to come out and just take it. I mean, you don't. I mean, you don't want to do that. I mean, but we have to learn to control ourselves, and I think that's another issue with people is that people don't know how to control themselves. So you have to be in control of your mind, body, and soul. You have to. So, you know,
Yeah, that's a good point. So I mean, Jesus helped me with the drive-through, right? Because I think that's and some people are I think you just seem so calm all the time. I can't see yourself blowing up at anybody at the drive-through. So I mean, that's a great character to have.
man, you know what? I've gotten better over the years. Uh, and now it's because I'm older now, and I just I see things differently.
Right, right,
Uh, and like I said, it takes time to develop. I usually don't blow up at people. I don't act a fool because, be honest, that's just a waste of my energy. So I don't want to waste my energy on something that I have no control over. You understand what I'm saying? If I had control over it, it'd be different. But most of the time, you don't have any control over it. So why get upset about it? You see,
right,
that's
right,
just a
right.
waste of your time and energy. But like I said, that comes with age and experience. So, I've just learned just to take the punches the way, try to do the best I can to block, but it comes with experience, man. And I've been through a lot of situations that I've gotten myself in trouble. So when if you get yourself in the situation where you get in trouble, that right there, that will kind of slow you down a little bit too. But there's a lot of people that don't learn from their mistakes. So, but like I said, it comes with age, it comes with experience. It's just not going to happen overnight. If you're the kind of person that has anger issues, that just want to blow a gasket, that's going to take time. So, but um, if something happens to where it's going to make you correct yourself, you're going to do it. So, so you want to really, check your behavior, you know, with a lot of things.
And so, and then I just made little notes for myself, Damien, because there's so much in here. I mean, guys, listen, we're going to spend some great time in this book because I really uh, there are so many things that are in this book that you can really stop. Our whole prison system, Damien, is filled with people who have bad character or
Right,
made bad choices out of anger, the wrong place at the wrong time,
right,
right?
right,
And so uh, I think this is and for you guys that are pastors and ministers and those individuals that are watching this, I just encourage you guys to start a mentorship program into your local church because that is one thing that I've noticed, Damien, that isn't there, right?
right.
We talk about community, we're a community church and vice versa, right?
Hmm.
But I don't see no mentorship for the future of the children, right? And it bothers me because this is a place where what families go,
Right.
right? So, I just think we could do a lot more, in regards of that aspect of having mentorship programs set up in local churches and communities. And uh, and I think, let me ask you this, Damien. Why do you think people don't get involved in mentorship?
Well, there's a few, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I think there's a few reasons for one. Okay, a lot of times people, they're focused on their families and they just don't have the time. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that really only care about themselves and the people that they're around, so they're
Right,
really not
right.
concerned with these other people. Um, it's like I said, it's rare. I think if you go searching for it, you'll find it. But as far as people just coming out and saying, "Oh, you know, I want a mentor," that's far fetched. So, there's a multiple number of reasons, man. People, people get me, and you, I mean, you really have to go if that's something that you want. You have to go. You have to go look and search, find because I don't think people just come by and say, "Hey, yeah, well, man, listen, I'm a mentor." I think no, they're not gonna do that.
Right,
So
right, right,
so
right,
so
right.
so uh, man, it's just it's hit or miss, and but you have to go out looking for it because, like I said, people aren't just going to say, "Hey, yeah, look." Very very few people will do that.
Right.
So I mean, what's your opinion on it? I mean, that's just my take.
Well,
So
I think a lot of times, number one, I think about it's selfishness,
yeah,
right? I mean, you think about it, Dave. We got 40 hours, or I mean, in a week's time, right? I can't believe out of 7 days out of the week, 1 hour, Damien,
right,
would make a difference
right,
in someone's life.
right, right,
1 hour, guys. 1 hour to get involved in somebody in your local community, in your church, whatever it is. And maybe you're watching the broadcast and you said, we don't have that set up at our church. Listen, So maybe this would be a great opportunity for you to start something in your local community or in your church, a mentorship program, and say, listen, because guys, listen, it is a real problem that we have with a very little mentors. You have a million churches, right? I mean, how can you have all these churches and no mentorship program, right? It doesn't make sense to me. So,
And a lot of times people want to get paid for their time. So if you do find that there's those that they want to get paid for it. So you know time, get paid for it, pay for time. So there's a number of reasons, but so I yeah, a lot of it is selfishness, but people want to get paid for their time. They're not just going to go out and willy nilly and do it. Um, there are some times where I wouldn't look for it. Yeah, and people, you got to pay them for it. So, like I said, it's very rare for you to find someone that would just take you underneath their wing. That's very rare nowadays. So, like I'm pretty sure, like me and probably you. I mean, I want to get paid for my time, you
right,
know,
right.
but at the same time, if I see someone that I can give advice to, and I see something that they're doing, make some mistakes, I'll just give it to them. I'll just, without even thinking about money or anything, I'll just give it to them. So, but yeah, you're right. Selfishness has a lot to do with it, and I don't think we focus on it enough. It's not a really big focus of ours anymore. I think that needs to be one of the major focuses, is to offer some kind of mentorship to help someone develop their character. I don't see it happening that much anymore. I don't see it.
Right.
I don't see it. So it's a time thing, and it's a financial thing. I think, but there's also a lot of, like I said, selfish people that just want to get paid for it. So, and I understand that you want to get paid for your time because it takes away from your family. If you have children, you already have to mentor your children and coach your children. So, for you to take on someone else, I mean, that's taken away from your family. So, it's
Well, and I think a lot of it, we're so busy, Damien,
right,
right? I mean, you take two parents, they got two kids, they go to the corporate job, right? And they come home, Junior and the little one, it's time for them to go to bed,
right,
right?
right,
And then you do the same process again.
right,
It's not even a thought process. Oh,
right,
well, maybe we should take on be a mentor to somebody,
right,
right?
right, right,
How can we possibly, because our schedule is so full,
right,
right?
right.
But I do think everyone has at least an hour, Damien.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, we browse an hour on the internet,
right,
right?
right,
We browse an hour on watching TV,
right,
right?
right.
So I think it's if we pick and choose our priorities,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. And the truth be told, as far as the hours, here's the thing: average person spends 8-9 hours at work. It's probably about 7-8 hours of sleep. So the rest of that, so 24 hours in a day, right? So that's let's say 16 hours. So eight more, that makes up your whole 24 hours. But a lot of people, this is where a lot of people get caught up with vices because they have all that free time, and
Yeah, I
and they're
have to
not
agree with
and
you.
they're not being productive, and so they take on things they shouldn't be doing. So yeah, you're right. Everybody has some free time. It's just whether or not they want to do something constructive with it.
Yeah, and, Stephanie has said self-control is a fruit of the spirit.
It is.
So it's something you got to know. The Bible says you'll know them by their fruit,
Right,
right?
right,
So it's not you need to know. It didn't say maybe you'll know them. It says you'll know them, right? So, but I think it still takes time to, and this is where I believe prayer has to be essential to pray about that person and say, Lord, help me, show me this person's uh, character,
yeah, it's not going to happen without God. Right,
right?
right,
So, but I think, yeah, I think a lot of selfishness and media and all the things we consume our time with. Uh, and you know, I think. Well, let me say this because I just kind of believe that we get kind of confused between uh, someone who is looking for a mentor and then someone who doesn't want to pay nothing, right?
Right.
Like people's expectations sometimes can clash with a mentor,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because you can still be a mentor and pay that person for their time,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the other side, you got people think, well, I'm a mentor, you're a mentor, so it should be free, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And,
Right.
and, and a lot of people get that twisted,
Right.
right?
Right.
Well, you said you would be my mentor. Okay, I can be your mentor,
Right. Right. Right.
right?
Right. 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 Right.
But not for free, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's a whole different thing in the sense of you being a mentor in maybe a young child's life. In maybe pick them up basketball. You're going out shooting hoops. That's one thing.
Right.
But you're trying to be. You want a mentor for business,
Right.
right? And they have these things that they're offering, services or whatever packages they have, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to pay for it,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people get that confused, Damien.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And so, uh, but yeah, I think that there is absolute now, in my opinion, when it comes to the children, we have to get this. We have to work on getting it turned around. If we're going to get this country turned around, we've got to get the future children turned around. And I mean, Damien, I it just doesn't look very good.
It doesn't, and I think when it comes to children, I think that should be free mentoring,
Yeah,
free coaching. So free coaching because you're preparing that next generation. So kids don't have any money, and
right.
you want to see kids, you want to see kids grow up, to be the best that they can be. So that mentoring, as far as that as I'm concerned, that should be free mentoring when it comes to the youth. So, but as far as as well as I know, coaching costs.
Right.
So, but when it comes to children, no, I don't think that. I think the mentor with children, I think that should be free, and I think people really need to take their time out and offer their services and to help the youth. So, especially if that youth is going in the wrong direction, because that could be 15, 16-year-old kid that a year or two down the road breaks into your house.
Right.
So you you want to give them, like I said, you want to give them game. You want to really lace them with game. So
You know when I was at 15, Damien? I was breaking into churches,
yeah,
right?
right, 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 right,
Right?
right, 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 right,
I mean, I was a troublemaker,
right,
right?
right, right,
Stealing cars. Guys, listen. You know, it didn't just happen. Change didn't happen. Mentors changed my trajectory on where I was going, and that's why I'm a big believer that mentors are play such a big part because they change the trajectory. You can change the trajectory of someone's life. You just have to make the will to want to make that change for at least a child's life. I mean, I remember, David, I was a bad bear, right?
right,
I And a lot of you guys don't know. When I was young, I had two. I took some cars, Damien. I took some cars, right?
right,
I took those cars and I drove those cars into a pond,
right,
right?
right, right, right.
Oh, that's. I mean, you think about what Mama and Daddy Bear thought, right? I mean,
Right,
like,
right,
oh, he's lost,
right.
right?
Yeah, you lost, but it don't mean it's over. It doesn't
Right.
mean it's over, right?
So yeah, I want to, I think it's very important for you guys to understand that maybe you have a young child and a teenager, and they are just everywhere. And I would encourage you that listen, it doesn't mean that this is the future. They can change through your prayer. They can change through a mentor. They can change through their circumstances. But we have to get involved, right? You have to be able to get to a place that understand that. Listen, I'm just an example, right? That change can happen. Change can happen, no matter what it looks like, right? So, I'm gonna read another thing out of this book here, Damien. It said, uh, and then you quoted here. You said, "I began yourself." You said, "I began to think right towards myself as well as others."
Right.
Now, I thought that was very powerful, Damien, because we don't always think of ourselves of change, right?
Hmm.
Tell me of that process.
Well, a lot of times there are times in our life to where we're not too we're not too happy with ourselves. But what we have to understand is that just because um, you were this person in the past
Right.
doesn't mean you're going to become the same person in the future. So I think that the way that we think about ourselves, if we think, I'm not saying conceited or arrogant, but I think if we think highly of ourselves and we take a positive approach to life, and when we think positive towards people, and because truth be told, not everybody is, you know, there's some bad people out there, but I think that when we think positive towards ourselves and we think positive towards people, I think that positive outcomes come. So, but the first step is to think about ourselves in a positive way. Now, how do we do that? Well, we have to do things to improve ourselves, self improvement. And there's steps to self improvement to improve yourselves, and that comes. And once you improve yourself, that comes your confidence. So when your confidence comes, you begin to think better about yourself,
Right.
and so
Right.
you'll see other individuals in a different light when you're thinking good about yourself. But if you're thinking bad about yourself, then you can be thinking, oh, this person, it's a balance. So that's basically what I was trying to say. You have to get to a point in your life to where even if things aren't going the way you want them to, do the best you can and think right towards yourself. Because how are you can't think negative about yourself and try to think right towards people. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's very important. And what happens from what I've seen, good things tend to happen out of that.
Right.
So I used to be kind of person. I can't stand people. But you have to understand that just because you run into a negative or a bad person one day doesn't mean that the next person is like that. So I think that when we look right, if we want to look right towards people, I think that you know um, good things come out of that. So because it's an energy, it's a spirit that you give off.
Right. Right. Right.
So when you give off that kind of spirit, then that's when good things tend to happen. But it in order for that to happen, you have to think right towards yourself. You have to because you can't think negative towards yourself and then try to think right toward it. It just doesn't. You can't. You have to self improve yourself. Once you do that, that builds confidence, and then you can look at individuals in a different light. So, and like I said, when you're around people and you grow up in a negative environment, when you're in a negative environment and nothing's positive, that's going to rub off on you. You're going to be down on yourself. So when you're accustomed to being around things like that,
Right.
you're gonna look at this person as, just another person that you used to be, being around. It's not gonna work. So you have to take pride in yourself and improve yourself.
Well, I was thinking, Damien, like, uh, you know, let me say this. Let me say. Well, first of all, I mean, let me say hello to all my haters, because one thing I've figured out, Damien, is that there are going to be people who watch, right, and they may never say anything,
Right,
right?
right,
And I thought, oh, now I have a choice. I can either love on my haters, right, or I can allow them to affect me,
right,
right?
exactly.
So I've just chosen, right, to love on everybody, right? And what that did for me, Damien, it freed me up from that weight, right?
Hmm.
Because if we're not careful, we will carry other people's hate on our backs,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So I've just chosen, listen, I love everybody, right?
Right.
And so I've just learned that I think a good character, this is just me, Damien, love them that may not love you, right?
Hmm.
The Bible says, forgive, right? We always have the forgive, right? Love your neighbor. Now, you know what's interesting about that, Damien? The Bible never said that your neighbor was going to love you back,
Right.
right? So I think that's a choice that we have to make in in and it really helped me, Damien. I
Right.
mean, it really helped me understand that. Listen,
Right.
I have to either I allow it to affect me, or I give it over and just choose to love on people, and then I don't have to carry that weight.
Right. And see, the thing is, and I'm talking to people, you can forgive people, but me personally, I can forgive you, but I won't forget.
Right.
So I won't forget. So you take that the way you want it. And haters, they serve their purpose, because if people hate, like me personally, all that does is make me want to do even better.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
and if you hating on a person's productivity and the grind that that you're going through, that's a very bad character flaw.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what does that
Yes.
say about you?
Yes.
So yeah, the Bible talks about that, and like I said, I can forgive people,
Right.
but I won't forget. And
Right.
and just because I forgive you doesn't mean I have to be around you, or I have to associate with you all the time.
Yeah, and I think so.
Love from a distance.
Yes, I would. Let me
Mm.
give my little point here on that. I think, Damien, is that it's okay to love people from a distance,
Right.
and if they don't understand that, then it was someone you didn't need to hold
Hmm.
on to anyway,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So I've just learned that, hey, uh, I like I said, I mean, Damien, we only got into 2 pages of the book,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
I mean, that's why I told you I was gonna bear into it, right?
Right.
So, guys, listen, there's so much to cover in this book, and so, but a character is it's a vital thing. It's so important, uh, because people invest in good character. Nobody will ever invest in someone who has bad character.
Right.
So if you're a person out there, maybe you're, trying to launch a business or uh, start a new career, remember, people are watching your character,
Hmm.
number one. And they're going to see what you do with your character if you deserve that advancement,
There's always
right?
someone looking. Right.
Right?
Hmm.
So it's a very vital thing to get down. And maybe, like Damien was saying, there's always something we can change about our character. So, Damien, let me see here. I'm gonna grab your page here. And guys, listen. Like my wife and I were talking, this is, I mean, today, inflation, this is a cheeseburger. Okay, so obviously you guys have the opportunity again to get on and go to Amazon and get this book, a hardback or paperback, guys. Maybe you're a person that goes on the go, and listen, I I personally like audiobooks on the aspect that we're so busy. This is a great opportunity for you to take this book and purchase this and this audio and be able to play it in your car, Damien.
Mhm.
I mean, how long do we sit in traffic, right?
Right, right.
Man, I mean, you have an opportunity to feed your mind with something besides that song that you play over and over and over again.
Hmm.
So, listen, it's the little things, guys, that you can do, right? Maybe the kids gone to bed, you got an hour you're washing dishes or you're doing the laundry, right? Take that time to listen to something that could impact. And so, uh, again, guys, I want to thank you guys for jumping on the broadcast, and we just started to get into this book. I'm blessed by just reading this book because it allows us to reflect on ourselves,
And I'm
right?
humble in spirit.
Right. So, and I can tell you that I'm grateful and thankful, guys, that the Lord allowed me to cross paths with Mr. Damien, and it's been a blessing to me.
And vice versa.
And so, I just want you guys to know that listen, I'm excited where we're going. I'm excited what the Lord is doing. I'm excited for those that are in a place where they have a new adventure. Learn to be happy for people. Be happy when people go to the next level. Some of you guys don't realize that you cancel your blessing because you guys don't you choose not to be happy for someone. So again, guys, choose to love on people and what they're doing. And you'll be amazed by you changing your mindset, right? How much that could make a difference. So I want to make sure we get to our sponsor here, Dan, the social
The
butterfly.
social butterfly.
Guys, listen. If you guys been on Dating with the Bears page, listen. You got to see Damien's cover. It's a prime example, right? The social butterfly. Listen, guys. No real bear out there would trust with anything else but the social butterfly. So if you're starting or you're beginning or you don't know where to start, maybe you're a small business owner or you would just want to have some feedback. How can I get my business off the ground in marketing? Listen, the social butterfly is going to be there to be able to help you, direct you, and give you a vision. Maybe you don't even have a vision. You know how many people I talk to, Damien, that don't even have a vision, right? I mean, I talk to them all the time. I'm like, well, what do you? I mean, what's your plan, man? I mean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's everywhere.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's everywhere, right?
yeah. It's hard. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, listen, it's reality, guys. We live in a digital world. So if you want to have success and you want to be branded in a way that's going to be successful, reach out to the social butterfly. Don't try to do a flyer, right? And think it's going to work in today's world. You have to change the mindset,
You're right.
right? So make sure you guys reach out to the social butterfly. Let me make sure I got her link here. I'm going to put her link here, guys, the social butterfly down below. And you can reach her on her website, and or you can inbox her on her platform on social media. So, Damien, is there anything else you want to say before we head out for today?
Yeah. As far as the book, I just want to say this. If you're the kind of person that let's just say you have bad character, it's something that you can't change overnight, But I think the best thing that you can get out of it is that you work on it. I mean, you have to identify it and work on it. I have things that I'm still working on. So, and I'm getting my butt kicked. But as long as you're trying to progress forward and work on some of the things that you know are slowing you down that want to make you a better person, long as you're working on it, so don't just leave it hanging out there and you're not doing anything about it. If you're working on it, you're going in the right direction.
Yes, and guys, again, I thank you guys for joining. Make sure you guys share, and more importantly, make sure you guys go over to our YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook, and make sure you guys subscribe, because listen, we want to be able to get this word out to everybody, and we just are thankful that we have the opportunity to come on today. So again, Damon, well, I guess I mean, what is today?
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
It's
So
Wednesday.
guys, man, I guess I mean we won't see each other again until next week. But listen, uh, always be watching for the bear. Like we went to I said Chatters. Listen, I said Chatters last week, guys. It wasn't Chatters. It was actually Chili's, right? So we went to Chili's, and I want to thank Chili's for the opportunity of having us out there. But anyway, guys, God bless. We'll see you next week, same time on Monday. We're going to continue to dive into the book, and you guys can see the book. Okay. And remember, guys, the best investment you can have is knowledge of wisdom. That's the best investment you can invest in. So maybe you guys just take some time, sacrifice those 2 cheeseburgers, and get this book today. We'll talk to you guys same time, same place next week. God bless.
Peace.
Yeah, that was